Ready?
Yep.
Perfect.
I remember getting a trophy for it. I'm sure I still have that to this day. Something to be very proud about and tell the kids in years to come. Had to be Sunderland. It's one of the biggest move of my career to go down and play in the Premier League.
Great, thanks for joining us. Great to see you. Just first of all, how are you? How is life here at Tynecastle?
Yes, it's been good. Obviously a long time since I was at Sunderland, so it's great to be back here speaking to you. But yeah, for me it's a nice way to kind of get towards the end of my career and have this game coming up against Sunderland. But it's been a lot of tough years with injuries, but coming back full circle to have a game, Hearts v Sunderland, my two main clubs throughout my career, it's going to be pretty special.
I know you have fond memories of your time at Sunderland, so we're going to rewind a little bit all the way back to 2007. What do you remember when Sunderland first made contact and how that move to Wayside started to take shape?
I remember being on pre-season. I think we're on a tour of Germany and Austria with Hearts. And the bids started coming in. There was a couple of teams interested. Aston Villa were also making bids at that point. And they started to try and outdo each other, and the value just kept going up and up until eventually Hearts decided to take the transfer fee and to go down. It happened so quickly in the end, only a few days before the first game of the season. So it was a bit of a whirlwind to go down, sign, look round the academy and the Stadium of Light to then getting presented. 2 days later, I was in the team to face Tottenham. Memorable debut, a fantastic match. I think from everybody that watched it that day to be back in the Premier League and to win 1-0 with a last-minute goal as well. There's probably no better way to win a match than that. The noise was incredible.
What were your first impressions then? Because it's a great game to really make your debut in, but what were your first impressions of having a look around the academy, the city and the people?
Yeah, it was all pretty quick. I played my first game within a few days and try to get down, find somewhere to live, and that the first time I'd ever moved away from home, so everything was all new. It was all very exciting. I remember staying in a hotel down in the beachfront to start with for the first couple of weeks and playing in a few games and just try to find my feet. But it was a great experience. The passion that the people have for football in that area is just unrivaled. So that was brilliant. I enjoyed that part of it. The expectation was there to do well, and the support they gave the team. I especially remember that first season when we were so many late goals. We were trying to the end of every match to get the points needed to stay in the league, and it just felt like a whole effort from the fans, players. Everybody was together pushing for the same thing, to stay in the league, and we managed to do it. I think it was probably a much better achievement now when you look back at it than probably what we thought at the time.
You talk about high expectation maybe when you first went down to Sunderland. Do you think a little bit of that being the British transfer record at the time for a goalkeeper?
Yeah, that'll have something to do with that, I would have thought.
It's not a bad...
No, it kind of worked both ways as well. When I was good, it was because of that. When I was bad, it was, where did you spend that kind of money? And that's always going to be difficult for a young player. I was still only 24 when I joined Sunderland. That took a bit of getting used to. For me, the job was exactly the same regardless of the price tag, it was up to me to just go and play as well as I possibly could and continue to improve. But that takes a little bit of adjustment and comes with its own pressures, not only from the fans but from the media as well. So it was something I had to deal with.
I know you will have seen some interesting characters and managers along your way, but to go into Sunderland at 24 with Roy Keane as the manager. That certainly must have been a little bit different. What were your first conversations with Roy like?
Yeah, I mean, he was obviously very, very keen to get me to come to Sunderland. He felt it was a very important position to fill going into the Premier League. And yeah, it was, you kind of know of him when you first meet somebody like that from what he's done in the game. I've come from Hearts, from Scotland, down to the Premier League, to one of the Premier League's greatest ever players to be your manager. So yeah, that was an unbelievable experience being there with him at that time. I felt he was really super organised behind the scenes, and everything was run so well. So yeah, that I thought it was going to be on a sort of upward trajectory to continue to improve. But I think looking back, those first 2 years, they're always the hardest to stay in the league. It's proven that ever since. Anybody getting up in the Premier League has found it very difficult to stay there. And if you stay there first year, the second year becomes even more difficult. The excitement that you had of being there the first time is lost a little bit, and it becomes more difficult because of that. So yeah, I think overall it was actually a fairly successful time to continue staying in there. We just needed to take that next step.
I think a lot of people, when they think about you and your Sunderland career, a lot of them maybe go to one moment, and that moment is that save against Bolton. A lot of big moments, but that one was certainly huge. I think it was once rated the greatest Premier League save ever. How much do you remember of that? And talk us through that save against Bolton.
Yeah, it was. Probably didn't realise it at the time how good it was until I watched it back that I realised what I'd actually managed to do. I've seen it back so many times since as well, which is never a bad thing as a goalkeeper to watch your saves back, and it's been played sort of all over the place. So yeah, remember the corner coming to the back post and having to readjust the position. It got knocked back into the middle of the goal, and Zat Knight was coming in with a sort of long leg to try and poke it over the line. And when I seen him going to score the goal, I thought, well, I'm going to have to make an effort, make it look like I've tried to keep this out, but I've probably got no chance. And sort of halfway through my dive, I realised that it was probably within reach if I just swung my arm at it and managed to connect with my thumb, and I think that just put a spin on the ball, which took it up over the bar. I remember sort of looking up and seeing it just miss the bar as it cleared it on the way up and landed on the roof of the net. And there's sometimes as goalkeepers you don't really know how you've kept the ball out, but I managed to do it on that occasion, which was pretty nice.
Premier League's greatest ever save. I don't even feel like you're doing it justice. It's not a bad title to have, is it?
No, it's pretty good. Not a bad title to have. I remember getting a trophy for it. I'm sure I still have that to this day. Something to be very proud about and tell the kids in years to come.
Across your time in Sunderland, there must have been plenty of characters in the squad, and we will talk about a few of them, but I felt it was important to mention Martin Fulop and just highlight him as well, what he was like, not just as a goalkeeper but as a person.
Yeah, really nice guy. I still kept in contact with him over the years. When both our contracts and time with Sunderland came to an end, and where we went in our careers after that, he was always somebody I kept in touch with. Great person, great character to have in the change room. A guy that very rarely, moaned about the position he was in, whether he was playing, whether he was on the bench. Very much a team player. Sadly missed by everybody that was in that squad with him.
Going into Sunderland, as you said, at 24 must have been a little bit daunting. Who kind of put the arm around the shoulder? Who was there for you in them opening moments?
I think Dean Whitehead, he was a captain at the time. He'd obviously come up through the sort of system in English football to Sunderland, and yeah, he was the one with that bit of experience. And even though he wasn't a great deal older than me, but he'd been around the club for a few years, and obviously being the captain, he was the one that sort of gravitated towards the most, and spent a bit of time out with football as well. So yeah, he was pretty good for everybody at the club at that time.
What's your greatest memories of not just the club, but in terms of the city? Is there anything? What do you miss about Sunderland?
The beaches were pretty cool. Just the atmosphere. and the friendliness, the amount of people that really know about football and actually know what they're talking about. You can have a proper football conversation, and the sort of football intelligence of the people, I think is great. You don't get that everywhere. You really don't. So the people would be the sort of one thing that I'd miss, and just the interactions with the fans. They were spot on. They knew what they were talking about, and it was pretty refreshing.
You mentioned Sunderland will be here for your testimonial game. Why Sunderland? Why bring Sunderland back into the picture?
Oh, it had to be Sunderland. It was one of the biggest move of my career to go down playing the Premier League. It gave me so much to play in that league, and to play for Sunderland and keep them in that league for the 5 years that I was there. I say it's only now when you look back that you realise that was a level of success. We all hope that they go on and progress even further this time. But certainly it was a fairly successful time. I had some memorable moments.
What is your fondest memory? Does one just come to mind?
Got to be the Chelsea one. I had a few decent saves in the game as well. I think Chelsea were top of the league at the time, and we were right in the top half, so we were flying high at that moment. It was a great team to be involved in. Some of the striking options that I mentioned that we had there under Steve Bruce at that point were a team that really had to be reckoned with. We were dangerous, and that was an enjoyable team to play in.
What were you thinking when Nedum picked up the ball?
Pass it, get rid of it, and he just kept going. Everything opened up for him, and he slotted it in the corner. Don't think he got too many in his career, but that's probably going to be his best one.
And what was better, the goals or Bolo's endings dancing with Asamoah Gyan?
Yeah, I mean, the least said about that, the better. Bolo's a fantastic player. I loved watching him in training. The level that he'd been at. He's one of the technically most gifted players in that squad, both feet. He really could do anything. He was probably just towards the end of his career then, but yeah, fantastic player and brilliant for that squad as well. Fast
forward to this first season back in the Premier League for Sunderland, how much have you been able to follow? What are your expectations for Sunderland this season?
Got to try and stay up. Looks like they're having a real go at the moment, which is nice to see. It's very difficult for the teams that come up, either through the playoffs or even, there's no guarantees. 100 points in the Championship doesn't guarantee you safety in the Premier League, so there's always that step up to make. But it is possible, and I think they're going about it the right way. It really looks from the outside as if the club is growing back to what it should be. I'm excited to watch them. I think they've got a good young team, some good signings already, maybe a few more to come. Can't wait to see them out here as well and play against them, which will be brilliant. So yeah, really a lot of positives, I think, certainly from the outside looking in at Sunderland right now, and excited to see how they go.